Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner, Precinct 1.
Present.
Devin Allen, Commissioner, Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner, Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner, Precinct 4.
Here. Good morning.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Pastor Mike Raymond from the Riverside Baptist Church. Thank you for coming out. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Please bow with me. Lord, we thank you so much for your presence in this place. Lord, we know that you're here. Lord, we pray for the judge, for the commissioners. Lord, that you would grant them wisdom, that you would grant them understanding. And Lord, we pray this morning as we just express our appreciation to the employees of this county. Lord, we thank you that we see your face, your mercy, your grace. Lord, when necessary, your patience in them as they deal with the public and each other. Lord, we pray that in this court this morning that there would be a diversity of thought and ideas, but Lord, a unity of purpose that would give way to cooperation, direction, and Lord, wise action for the future. And Lord, we ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Brother.
Mr. Manius, agenda announcements.
Your Honor, we do not have any agenda announcements this morning.
Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of February the 26th.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have a couple of, we have four, I guess, proclamations or recognitions. The first is the Severe Weather Preparedness Month, and I think it's getting here just in time. We're supposed to have storms, I guess, tonight, and we've had a few already. I will read that into the record if I can find that, and then I believe we have, is David's here? Come on down, along with your folks, William, Matt, and I'll read this into the record. Whereas each year the potential for violent weather to impact Texas when large portions of the state, including Tarrant County, could be affected by flooding, tornadoes, hail, windstorms, and other emergencies. And whereas the Texas Division of Emergency Management and the National Weather Service have joined together to urge all citizens to prepare for severe weather events and to educate themselves on safety strategies. And whereas severe weather preparedness is the responsibility of every citizen of Tarrant County, and all citizens are urged to make severe weather preparations a priority and work together as a team to ensure that individuals, families, and communities are prepared for severe weather events. And whereas all citizens of Tarrant County are encouraged to participate in the Citizens Severe Weather Preparedness activities to become more prepared by creating an emergency supply kit, making a plan for what to do during severe weather events, and having multiple ways of receiving severe weather alerts. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim the month of March as Severe Weather Preparedness Month in Tarrant County, and further we urge everyone in our community to learn more about and to participate in severe weather preparedness activities available in Tarrant County, and to visit the regional Know What to Do Emergency Preparedness website for tips and tools to create a severe weather preparedness plan. In witness whereof we have herein to set our hands and cause the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 12th day of March 2019. I'll move its approval.
Second.
We have a motion second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I will tell you that my wife has always, she grew up in Wichita Falls,
That's hard.
so she always has a closet. We've got the closet. Everything's in the closet. We got a little radio that we cranked, and the kids always knew that they were to grab the dogs and head for the closet whenever it happened. So, y'all come around here because somebody back there is gonna wanna take a picture. There she is, I can see you on the top of here. Got everybody here, so, again, let's look this way and she'll do it at least 3 times.
Sucked in that.
Her biggest complaint was that they were in the closet and I was out on the back porch looking for the tornado.
Step up here just a second. Thank you, Judge and members of the court. As always, preparedness is our main goal. We don't want to go out and take care of business, but sometimes we have to. This is a regional-wide event for us. We have several folks here. I'll take a moment to introduce real quickly. Lisa Tatum is my counterpart in Dallas County, Office of Emergency Management. She came over, and we're glad to have you here. Maribel is my counterpart down in Fort Worth, the MC of the City of Fort Worth. We know Matt and Bill, and we all know Matt and Bill. And I want to introduce some folks from the National Weather Service. Tom Bradshaw is the meteorologist in charge, and Jennifer Dunn is the warning forecast officer. So, Tom, would you like to say a few things?
Sure. Just real briefly, it's an honor speaking on behalf of the National Weather Service office here in Fort Worth. We are very proud to be partnering Judge Whitley with not only Tarrant County but also all of our jurisdictions at the city level, the private sector folks that we work with, and obviously our media partners. But we really couldn't do it without all this great partnership that exists with all of our county representatives that Dave leads, Maribel leads, the city of Dallas as well. At this time, I wanted to take a second to introduce our new warning coordination meteorologist. She replaces Mark Fox, who has been here several times and was a great WCM for us for many years. But our new WCM is Jennifer Dunn, and she's our primary leader in terms of working very closely with Dave and his group and with all of the jurisdictions throughout Tarrant County and North Central Texas. So, Jen, if you want to say a couple words.
Jennifer, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a wonderful, gloomy, rainy day to be here talking about severe weather, isn't it? I know everybody's ready for the sun, but as Tom said, we're honored to be here in partnership and in support of our partners at Tarrant County, City of Fort Worth, and Dallas County also, and all of our regional partners. I can definitely vouch for our partnership and our collaboration before, during, and then of course after severe weather events and all hazardous weather events here in North Texas, and it's an honor for them to be here with this proclamation, and we continue to look forward to continue working with them and all residents of North Texas to make sure that hopefully we can build a more resilient region and nation to any type of hazardous weather.
So, Jennifer, I understand that there's supposed to be storms coming in from the west.
Yes, there is.
And they're supposed to start around 4 a.m.
Well, the timing looks a little bit slower now. It might unfortunately be closer to 6 or 7 a.m., closer to rush hour time.
But it hits here.
Yes. I know. I'm always the bearer of bad news, right?
And so y'all will be watching this through the night.
Yes, absolutely. We always have 2 forecasters on duty watching the weather.
And where are y'all stationed at?
So we are located on the north side of Fort Worth near where 820 and 35 come together.
Okay. So you can just sit out there and watch all the traffic. And
pretty much. We have one window that we can look out of, so that's the only window we get to look at the storms coming through. Otherwise, we're using our vast array of tools.
Do you get to move that window around so you can see which direction?
We wish. We're still working on getting a camera on top of the building so we can watch from all angles coming in.
Did you go to A&M?
I did, yes, sir. Gig 'em.
That was a weak hoop.
We can do better, right?
Jennifer,
Yes, sir.
to the extent that weather permits, I hope that you will make yourself available as a role model to young girls in this community, encouraging them to get involved in STEM programs and science-related activities.
Yes, sir.
You are a shining star, and
Thank
they
you very
need to
much.
see you.
Thank you. Yes, I look forward to that too. We've already done a lot of a couple of STEM outreach with Girl Scouts and other schools in the area, and fortunately I work with a couple of other bright, shining young women coming up into the forecaster role, and we look forward to reaching for those opportunities. But those are very kind words. I thank you very much, and I look forward to those opportunities myself.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
Next is a resolution of commendation for Greenworks. Commissioner Brooks and Commissioner Johnson, looks like both of y'all got that one.
Yeah, we do. I'm always glad to be able to partner with my colleague at the other end of the table, way over there.
So we have both the far right and the far left.
Okey-dokey there. When we acquired the Resource Connection 15 or so years ago now.
More than that.
Yeah, almost 20 years ago. It was a place to co-locate social service agencies to conveniently provide to the community the services that they need. The bonus in that acquisition were a couple of 100 acres of vacant land that make an ideal outdoor learning space. And that outdoor learning function is what Greenworks Learning Center is all about. Judge, would you read the proclamation into the record, please?
Whereas the Goodwill Fort Worth STARS program is a one-of-a-kind habilitation non-residential program that recreates daily living scenarios for adults with significant or multiple disabilities. And whereas the program's mission is to help participants achieve maximum independence and improve their quality of life. And whereas the forward-thinking leaders at Tarrant County's Resource Connection, Goodwill Fort Worth, the Tarrant County Master Gardeners, Tarrant County Facilities Department, and local AgriLife Extension began an inspired process to provide horticultural therapy for participants in Goodwill's STARS program. And whereas the Greenworks Learning Center program has been operational since 2017, with the goal to use garden-related activities for STARS participants as an aid to their habilitation process through the environmental stimulation of plants, improved self-esteem, motivation for trying new things, and positive social interaction. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby commend and recognize the hard work and achievement of the STARS program participants, the dedicated program leaders that love the STARS participants and make this weekly program possible, and the steadfast leadership committee that overcomes all obstacles to see to the program's success. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 12th day of March 2019.
Move for its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I'm going to ask Jamie Willis from the Resource Connection, Claire Alford, Tarrant County Master Gardeners, and Coach J.R. Bewley from Goodwill and others to please join Commissioner Johnson and me at the podium.
And I believe we got a greenhouse out there.
Yeah, we do.
We're going to have to move that. We're going to have to move that. Y'all either back up a little bit and let him pull that out, or
This way.
he's messing with your podium. I know, GK. Don't. It's like messing with your baby. You're going to have to pull it out after everybody gets around it.
And these are
The stars. Those are the stars in this program.
participated in the program.
Okay, y'all come out from behind the podium. You need to get in front of it.
Y'all come around. Come around here.
We'll push that podium closer to
Yeah.
No, I think you're going to pull that podium out. Start back, Commissioner Brooks. Pull that thing and head backwards.
As soon as I get an opportunity without smushing somebody.
All right, here we go. Just watch your toes.
It's gonna be his way or the highway. All right, Jay. Where are we gonna get? Well,
I'll see y'all later. Y'all do your thing.
We need to get some of these folks back here in the back and the front because they are, like me, vertically challenged. Tall one's in the back, short one's in the front. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Keep moving for. There we go. Now, if you can see the camera, you're in great shape, and if you can't, you're not. Commissioner Brooks is doing a good job there.
Everybody stand still.
There you go. Her three were a lot quicker than your three. Stand up. Commissioner Pickett, stand up.
That restarts the clock on the photo.
Okay, here we go. I'll drive this to this.
He's on a roll.
Good morning, Judge,
Good morning.
Commissioners. On behalf of the Greenworks Learning Center, I would like to thank you for your support of our program from the beginning when we started this unique and rewarding adventure in 2016. At that time, the Resource Connection, under the leadership of Judy Ketchum. Judy, please stand.
Judy.
Goodwill
This was all Judy's idea.
Very much so. Goodwill Industries, Tarrant County Master Gardeners Association, and Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Services developed a partnership that continues to exist today. We held our grand opening on May 17th, 2017. It was a great success due to the support and benevolence of Judge Whitley, who came and spoke, and the endorsement from Commissioner Brooks of Precinct 1, where the Greenworks Learning Center resides. I'd like to introduce the remarkable members of the committee who are with us here today. Also from Tarrant County, Catherine Rotter. The President and CEO of Goodwill Industries, David Cox. Kimberly Smith and Liz Confiliano from Goodwill Industries. The Director of Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Services, Joan Jacobson. And then from Tarrant County Master Gardeners Association, the President, Teresa Thomas. And I'm going to be passing the mic to Miss Claire Alford, who is very active with the STAR students in the program, and she'll also be talking and introducing Coach. That's how everybody knows him. So she'll be talking about what they do and a little bit more about the program itself. So thank you again, Judge and Commissioners.
Thank you, Jamie.
Good morning. As a Tarrant County Master Gardener, part of our mission is teaching. And our teaching with the STARS program is horticultural therapy. Part of our therapy is starting from seed all the way up to that plant as it has grown. So they have helped us develop it all the way from the beginning until it's ready to leave the greenhouse and go to either a sale or into a project that needs it. For instance, the school seeds that we actually do in August. Also, our program, they are learning part of the greenhouse management in that they help us maintain cleaning within the building so that it helps cut back on insect and disease. With that, we do have quite a large team that helps out with it. A few of them came today. One of them y'all have met already, Teresa Thomas. Then y'all can stand for us. And then Rocky came and Pat Higgins. So these are just a few of those that help out with our team. It has been an honor and a privilege to work with the STARS program, and I want to introduce y'all to Coach Robert Burley.
Good morning. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Coach.
Yeah, I found something more rewarding to do than coaching is the STARS, and there's no parents and nobody wanting a full ride. So Goodwill Fort STARS program. That's an acronym that stands for Skills, Training, Achieves Results. And I'm going to use this here because I played football and took a few hits to the head, so I won't forget this here. It's a unique day have program for adults with disabilities. You've heard that before. But I want to tell you that STARS, where we're at, we recreate daily living scenarios through our classes in an apartment. Looks like a real apartment, general store, learn how to spend their money or save, town square, have meetings similar to this, art studio, fitness center, as well as involvement in the community at Greenworks and the greenhouse, which you've seen here. I was just hired a week before they did this. These guys have made my job so much easier because this one day a week, Wednesday is tomorrow, is my favorite day because I don't have to write a curriculum. It's already set. Couldn't do it without the other team members. And one example, we have great success stories. We have 3 or 4 or 5, 6 people that wouldn't even talk, weren't verbal, and greenhouses let them express their feelings or what they want through their hands. But we're going to pick one today. His name is Jason Lewan. Would you stand? Jason Lewan is what you... Yeah. Jason is what we used to call a runner. We'd have to lock the gym and run it out of him. But here, we'd see his lanyard or his wallet hit the floor, and he'd take off running. We have to go find him. Since Greenworks has happened, he wants to be there every day. He doesn't want to leave. You can see he's smiling. He was angry. He's not angry no more. So I want to just thank you guys for. That's just one example of many people that have. 2 of them got jobs since we had the greenhouse because they can use their hands. So I remember the first day. Thank you for the land. Thank you for the support. Thank you for what we're doing. And we want to tell you that the partnership through all the agencies you were just mentioned, that we want to thank you. We couldn't have done it without your partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Commissioner Allen.
Yes. Okay, well, we've got some special guests here today from the city of Grand Prairie, and as I read this resolution, I'm going to ask the guests to go ahead and make their way to the podium. And whereas on March 24, 2018, Grand Prairie became the first city in the nation to launch the big event, when more than 1,200 citizens participated in their first ever annual citywide volunteer day. And whereas the big event originated in 1982 when Joe Nussbaum, former vice president of the Student Government Association at Texas A&M University, had an idea to organize students to complete service projects as a way for them to say thank you to the community and that supports them. And whereas what started as a group of 6 Aggies volunteering to clean up a local cemetery has grown into a 37-year tradition of service by students, and the event has been adopted by other universities across the nation. And whereas Councilwoman Georgia Clemson learned about the history of the big event from her grandson, a student at Texas A&M, and decided to bring it to the city of Grand Prairie. And whereas the project is aimed at helping those in need, and services performed could include raking leaves, hauling debris, weeding, planting flowers, mulching, spring cleaning, litter patrol. And whereas the one-day service project celebrates the positive impact of citizens working together for the greater good of all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby recognize Councilwoman Georgia Clemson for her efforts to initiate the big event in the city of Grand Prairie, and furthermore do commend the city of Grand Prairie for embracing the big event and for their commitment to bringing the community together to promote the importance of unity in the community. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hands and cause the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 12th day of March. And with that, I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Yes, and so joining us here today from the judge's hometown is Mayor Ron Jensen, Councilmember Georgia Clemson, I call her Miss Georgia, Blake Garcia, who is her grandson, and she'll speak more to his efforts at A&M. Also, Amy Sprinkles, who does many things at the city, but oversees communications and marketing. Marcela Perez, who's a big event coordinator, and I don't see Sarah here, but she does so much for the city. I wanted to give her a shout out. So.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to be here. Thank you very much. Now, I may need to start the roll call back in our city. That's kind of handy. I could have Ms. DiMaggio, our city secretary, do a roll call every president. I'll have to do that.
Just make sure we're here.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was wondering if you were here today or not. But it's good to be here. Devin, thank you for this. But what y'all are doing with the previous group, my goodness, see, y'all get it too. We just can't be about roads and jails and all that.
Preach, brother.
We have opportunities to help, and we need to. So thank y'all for doing that. Thank y'all. I'm going to introduce Ms. Clemson, Georgia Clemson, our Councilmember Clemson. She will tell you about this story. This is our second year, and the commissioners and judge, we're still the only municipality that does this. Over 100 schools do it. We're still the only municipality to do it, and I'll let Georgia give you a little bit more information on it. So, Georgia, thank you for bringing this to us a couple of years ago, and Councilmember Clemson.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you so
much.
much.
You can pull that thing down if you'd like to.
Perfect.
Thank
you, Judge. I want to thank you all specifically for this wonderful honor and recognition today. We're so thankful, and thank you, Commissioner Allen, for spearheading that. This is an exciting event for the city of Grand Prairie. As the mayor said, we are the first municipality to do this. As a city, it's an opportunity for us to get our citizens together to do good things for others, to practice the golden rule, and to love our neighbors. So it is a wonderful opportunity, and it's a blessing not only to those who participate, but the ones who are on the receiving end, of course, get a blessing, but the ones who participate, they enjoyed it so much last year, and not only did they enjoy it so much with over 1,200, we have over 1,600 signed up so far in the events on the 23rd. So we're very blessed to have so many participate and to make a difference in our community, and we're so thankful for that. And we're thankful for our wonderful staff in Grand Prairie, our mayor, who is very supportive, and our staff who's been excellent to make this happen without many bumps in the road. So that's great. We're still working things out. But thank you again for this opportunity. And I have to tell you, I give the good Lord the credit for the inspiration after hearing my wonderful, fabulous grandson, Blake Garcia, come back from Texas A&M and tell about this wonderful event down there and what great things it does for the university. So it just happened, and we're so grateful it did, and we hope to see this continue, blessing people for years to come. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Well, and I forgot I've got something to present to you.
was fixing to say, normally we give out a plaque, but the rookie here is, she was a little late in the giveaway.
I got excited, all right?
She's blazing her own path.
Now, getting in the back is not going to work just because you think you can get out behind that.
Come over here.
We got it.
Thank you, darling.
Thanks for making the trip.
See.
Mayor, thank you.
And we're praying for good weather on the 23rd.
Thursday.
The mayor and I went to high school together. He was a couple of years ahead of me. And I'm not sure when we were going through high school that either one of us thought we'd be where we are.
I didn't think I'd ever be here. Right, Em?
And you never thought I'd be here either.
Yeah, Miss Clemson graduated from Grand Prairie High also.
Thank y'all again for coming out. Next, we have Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have an award presentation.
Yes, I was honored to be able to attend the Orbit CIO of the Year award presentation in Dallas a couple of weeks ago. And one of our own, Chris and Chapa Aofor, won the award as CIO of the Year in the nonprofit and public sector category. Y'all have heard me say many times over the years that we expect Tarrant County to lead. Chris Aofor has taken that to heart and is leading in the field of information technology. GK, you've got some information around the award and a video to present.
Yes, I do. Let me tell you a little bit about the Orbit Award. First of all, in the United States, there are 12 regions, and we are served by the region which is called the Dallas Orbit region. And basically, there were over 250 nominations for this, for 7 different categories. And out of those 250 nominations, there were 34 finalists. And the different categories included the super global, because we're talking about huge companies like American Airlines and other large companies, global, large enterprise, corporate, healthcare, and also nonprofit and public sector. In the nonprofit and public sector, Tarrant County was the only county that made it to the finalists. And out of a group of 4 finalists, Chris Aofor was chosen. It's a very, very prestigious honor. And we have, before we ask Chris to come up, or Chris, why don't you come up now, but we'd like to show you a video of the presentation that we took that day.
I'm proud to be here today to be among the best. This morning I want to thank God Almighty for giving me the grace to do the things that I do. I want to thank Sharon Superbell, who had enough confidence in me to nominate me for this award this year. It's actually the second time, but I'm glad I followed my 5th grade teacher's advice to retake my test. An A is an A. I do want to recognize some really important people on a more serious note here this morning. The Honorable Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner of Tarrant County, Precinct 1. He's here this morning. He's the chair of my Information Technology Steering Committee. I want to recognize my boss and mentor at Tarrant County. He's the reason I've been there for 6 years now, Mr. G.K. Manius. Recognize my good friends, Director of Facilities, David Phillips, and my very able executive assistant, puts me where I need to be. You may not realize it. I'm successful here this morning because you kept me in check, Kimberly. Now, recognize my good friend Rick Bronson. He calls himself the Sergeant of Arms of IT. But most importantly, I want to recognize my friend, my daughter, Kung this morning, who stood in the gap for her mama who couldn't be here. I just want to conclude by saying this. It takes one to see a vision. That's what the saying goes. But it says also that it takes at least two to interpret the vision, and it takes more than two to execute the vision. Folks, that is the spirit of the team. And that's why I recognize all the folks I recognize this morning, as well as, most importantly, dedicating this win this morning to my very able employees of the Tarrant County Information Technology Department. I am blessed to work in one of the best organizations in local government, Tarrant County, Texas. Thank you.
And we are blessed that the nation has recognized what we've always known, that our CIO is world class. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Allen, who is co-chair of the IT Steering Committee with me, to come down and let's present this award in front of the Tarrant County family.
I would like my team members who are here to join me.
Come on, guys, don't be shy.
Mr. Wilson, do you want me to use your phone?
All IT employees that are here, please.
Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, commissioners. You can see I'm a little bewildered. I just say this. I never thought in my wildest dreams that as a young man growing up on the farm in a developing country with no computers to go to school with, that someday that I would be this blessed and have the opportunity to share the same platform with some of the best in the world, the likes of the president of Southwest Airlines, who was receiving an award as well, and all the corporate people. But I remember one thing that my late father once told me. He said, if you have the right people in front of you, and if you have the right people behind you, and if you have the right people beside you on your journey, you can get to your destination even with your eyes closed. I am blessed. I want to thank God for giving me the grace to do the things that I do. I want to thank this Commissioner's Court. Before I came to this county, I was a consultant. In prior life, I worked with a lot of local governments. We are fortunate and privileged to work simply the best run local government in the United States. And but I want to give credit. I want to give credit where credit is due. As I noted in that video clip, the team is more important than anything else. And this morning, I'd like to dedicate this award to the employees of the Information Technology Department who have endured a daunting task that was handed to us about 5 years ago to turn around the IT department in Tarrant County. It was one of the more difficult challenges that I've ever had. And there is no way on earth we could have been successful without the team that we have. I just like them to rise. Those that are here, let's just give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. We give you our promise to stay focused on our journey of perfection and measure our milestones in the pursuit of excellence. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chris.
We have one more announcement.
We have a couple of more announcements. Just
Okay.
go right ahead.
At the staff level. Why don't you all make your announcements first, huh? I'm down here, y'all are.
No, go ahead, really.
This is kind of sad, actually. We are sad to announce that at the end of this month, Dr. Joan Gillespie is going to be leaving us. She is retiring, and we are going to miss her tremendously.
Yes, we are. Joan has done outstanding work for this county, for the state, and every way that you have served this county and this state. So we appreciate you very, very much. Commissioner Allen, I believe you have a couple of new folks you would like to introduce.
I would.
And I want to do that while all the employees are here before we get into the employee recognition, because that will give everybody a little bit more of an opportunity to know these folks.
This should only take me about 15 minutes, so I'm kidding. Well, I think I'm somewhere along 72, 73, something like that days since being sworn in January 1st. So before I introduce our two new team members, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues for being very helpful and welcoming to me, as well as everyone that works for the county. I really appreciate that, and it should not go unnoticed. I'd also like to thank Kelly Rodriguez, who served as our interim precinct administrator. She was given a big task and has worked really hard, so I appreciate all of her efforts. And with that, I want to introduce our new precinct administrator. His name is Mr. Jared Jackson. He's born and raised in Fort Worth. He's an alumnus of Stephen F. Austin, where he graduated with a dual degree in political science and communication. He served as a legislative aide in the 83rd legislative session, including staffing the Culture, Tourism, and Recreation Committee, as well as working on water issues. He's also served at the federal level, working with Congressman Vesey on numerous policy issues and key strategic initiatives, including serving veterans, senior citizens, federal grant writing, labor and employment issues, voting rights, college and career readiness. He serves on the board for Campfire Texas, as well as the Clayton Youth Enrichment Board, and he's a founding member of the Castleberry Education Foundation. That's just some of his accomplishments. I'm honored that he would join the team. If everyone would just join me in giving Jared a warm welcome and a round of applause. And then secondly, I'd like to recognize Vonna No. She is a Precinct 2 resident. She resides in Grand Prairie and has since 2005. She's an alumna of the University of North Texas, and she's also pursuing her master's degree at SMU, where she also served as a community outreach fellow working on human rights issues. She is a member of the inaugural cohort of Real City Fellows, which works on racial equity, action, and leadership issues. She served as an AmeriCorps Vista for 2.5 years, as a CASA volunteer with Dallas, working with placements in Dallas, Tarrant, and Smith County for 5 years. She's traveled extensively throughout the world in Bosnia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Poland, studying the effects of war and civil unrest and how communities can rebuild and heal after trauma. She also adopted a dog who was a neighborhood stray. So, I'm honored to represent Precinct 2 for a long list of reasons, including the fact that Arlington, which is the second largest city in the county, is also the most diverse, or the second most diverse city in the state, following Houston, which is the most diverse city in the nation. So there are diversity of issues. We have a diversity of communities to serve, and so I'm honored that Vonna would join the team and help us with our communications as well as outreach efforts. So please join me in welcoming Vonna.
Welcome to both of you. We'll look forward to getting to know you better over the next couple of months and years. Commissioner Johnson, you had an event this past, not yet.
Okay.
You had an event this last weekend, I believe, where you were purchasing a few animals.
Weekend before last.
Weekend before last, excuse me. How'd that go?
It was wonderful again.
Did you spend all our money?
We spent all of our money plus. So anyone who has some extra change laying around, send it in.
Okay.
But no, I don't have a count today of how many projects that we purchased, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
We normally buy about half the show.
Well, I saw Charlie Guerin. He said you spent his money real quick.
I spent almost all of his.
Well, that is great.
I have to tell you a story about Charlie's money. Last year at the sale, we got down close to the end and there was just chickens left. Charlie's fund had like $763.25. So I slipped a note to the auctioneer. When you get the highest bid you can get, here's my bid. And so Charlie bought those chickens and he paid dearly for them. Well, when Ed Bass heard about it, he said, I'm going to get a big chicken up here and put Charlie Guerin's name on it. But it was funny. The kids were all happy. The rabbits and the chickens didn't bring quite as much as they've been bringing, but they all sold.
Good.
And that's the reason that we ran out of money and spent some extra.
Good. Well, thank
to
you.
make sure they all collected something.
That has been your passion, but it has also been your goal, is to make sure that nobody walks away without getting something for the work that they did.
Almost 40 years I've been doing this.
And we cannot thank you enough for doing that. Do we need to go back, and we need a motion and a second to recognize the award for Chris?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. That's got us covered up to this point, right? Okay. Now, we come to employee recognition, and all I can say is, for you newbies, if it sounds like your name, stand up.
This is the entertaining part of our.
That's right.
meeting.
This is what they all these folks up here look forward to, because I get to try to pronounce their names, and we'll see how I do at this point in time. We'll begin with our 5-year employees. I'll call your names. You stand up until I'm through with that 5-year group, and then you can sit back down. If you sit back down early, I'll embarrass you. First is Mario Alanez, Juvenile Services. Kimberly Allison, the Sheriff's Office. Nora Campos, Probate Court number 1. Yeah, I saw you talking back there. I almost called you out. Alexander Klingenpeel, Elections. Joe English, Medical Examiner. Joseph Garrett, Sheriff's Office. Asimia Leal, Sheriff's Office. That's one of those, if you think you're in the next order, that's when you ought to be standing up. Delmira Manadrasa, Domestic Relations Office. I didn't even get close, did I?
No.
Janelle Maddox, Public Health. David Pack, Transportation Services. Melanie Peterson, Pretrial Services. Ashley Reynolds, Sheriff's Office. Ivory Ramsey, Sheriff's Office. There she is. Joshua Ruffu, Public Health. Matthew Smith, Sheriff's Office. Lisa Snyder, Sheriff's Office. There's Lisa. Malcolm Ward, Sheriff's Office. Now, Lisa, do you have some folks with you?
My family members.
Glad y'all were able to come out today. Thank you. I did say Malcolm Ward. There's Malcolm back there in the back. These are our 5-year employees. Let's give them a round of applause. Y'all can be seated now for our tenure employees. Brandy Bruton, Constable Precinct 4. Jerry Brown, the Sheriff's Office. Claire George, the County Clerk's Office. Charles Hatley, Constable Precinct 7. Sylvia Hawkins, the County Clerk's Office. Francis Lambert, Sheriff's Office. Whew. I didn't think I was going to have anybody from the 10-year. I'm glad you showed up. Bernard Walton, Public Health. Michelle Wiles, the Tax Office. Let's thank this one gentleman that showed up out of the 10-year. Now for our 15-year employees, Sarah Bruner, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Stephen Cannon, Facilities Management. Elizabeth Falcon, Juvenile Services. Miguel Gutierrez, Precinct 2. There he is. Steve Scott, Precinct 4. Rainey Webb, Criminal Courts. These are our 15-year employees. Let's give them a... Now for our 20-year employees, Kelly Biggs, Sheriff's Office. Sandra Cardona, Public Health. Don Cathers, County Auditor's Office. Randy Cuniff, Sheriff's Office. Pedro Garcia, Juvenile Services. Betty George, Community Development. Betty is not here. She lost her grandson in an accident this past weekend. So please keep Betty and her family in your prayers. It was a tragic accident, and she needs your prayers.
Amen.
Tommy Hall, Human Services. Glennis Paramore, Sheriff's Office. Lionel Ramirez, Criminal District Attorney's Office. And Cindy Williams, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Let's give these 20-year... Now for our 25, first is Laura Flores, the Criminal District Attorney's Office, Victim Assistance. There's Laura back there. She started off in the public health area in the screening, then went to the DA's office in protective orders, and then to victims assistance, where she said, I really found my niche. When I asked her about memorable moments, she says working with the DA's teams and their efforts to take care of victims and to make sure they're heard. And I'm just going to tell you, as I talked with Laura, her passion for helping the victims is you can just feel it in everything that she says. What she likes most is the stability and the benefits of working with the county, the camaraderie, the friendships that she's developed. And she says, helping the victims to heal. She says, I just love having the opportunity to work for the county. And she says, I enjoy coming to work every day. Laura, we appreciate very much the 25 years of service. Thank you. Next is Belinda Franklin, the Sheriff's Office and Personnel area. There she is. She started off in the accounting, and then in 2000 she went to personnel, and basically she does all the paperwork to keep the place running. All of the licensing, all of the certification, all of the stuff that goes on there. When I asked her about a memorable moment, she said, you know, it was when we moved over to the Plaza building. She says, I wasn't quite sure about that in the beginning. But she says, I finally came around, and it's been pretty nice. She said, I just love the people that I've had a chance to work with and to work for. She loves what she does. She said, it's steady work. You don't have to worry about the county going out of business. And that's true. She said, not yet. That's right. She has really enjoyed working. She said, I've had a co-worker that I worked for many years, Linda Buckner, who retired, I guess, in 2018. Belinda, thank you so much for your service to Tarrant County. We appreciate it. Next is Sam Haber, the Sheriff's Office. He is in court security area. There's Sam. Started off in Denton County, then came to Tarrant County in 1994. Worked in Belknap, Green Bay, the Correction Center. Went to courts, then went out to crime scenes for a while, and then back to courts. He said the county is just like a big family. When I asked him about memorable moments, he said some of the trials that he's had a chance to work on is, you know, it's been pretty memorable. He said Tarrant County is a great employer. He said they help. What he said I really enjoy doing is as people come into the courts building, they come in there for a lot of different reasons, for jury duty, for witnessing, for whatever. And he says I like to just be able to try to help them feel more at ease as they come into the building and remind them of the responsibility that they have in whatever role they're taking on. He has a son that works for the county. He's in the sheriff's office and works at the Green Bay facility. And he said, I am just very thankful.
His son is right there.
Stand up. There he is. Okay. He said, I'm just very thankful for all the support that I have received over the years and whatever I may be doing. Sam, thank you very much. Good luck. Next is Pat Howell, Precinct 4 Operations Director, 25 years. There's Pat back in the back. He wants to fly under the radar. He started in the sheriff's office actually in 1986. He's one of those that came here, left a little bit, came back, so he got docked years. He was in the sheriff's office, I guess, for about 10 years, and then was in the DA's office for a year, and then spent the rest of the time with Commissioner Johnson. He had nothing but good things to say about his time with the commissioner, and I know he is a loyal friend and has been a good friend with JD for many, many years. He said, I had the pleasure, as far as memorable moments, he said, I had the pleasure of knowing Lon Evans. He said, it's been an interesting career with the county. He feels like he's been allowed to do what he felt was best as he's worked in each one of the different positions, that there's not been a micromanaging. He's got some great friends all over the county. As I said earlier, he said, I like flying under the radar. Now, Pat had a brother who was actually killed in the line of duty for Tarrant County in 1986. And will be one of the individuals we'll be recognizing on our memorial that we will actually break ground on. I believe we're breaking ground on that in May. Frank Howell. And so we appreciate that. Pat, thank you very much for the 25 years you've given us. Next is Dina Jackson, Public Health Immunization. Where's she? Is Dina here? Well, she wasn't sure. She started out in the Lake Worth immunization. She said, you know, when I started out, it was in a strip center, and then I moved to a double wide, and finally I got to the Northwest sub, and she said it's just the difference in night and day.
Double wide must have been in your precinct.
Well, I know that Alice and I spent about a year in that double wide trailer. So, you know, I guess everybody ran off from me when we were in the double wides to move out, and that's before we got the second Taj Mahal out in Tarrant County out there in that area.
No comment.
She said, I have loved putting on some public health fairs. She is actually going to be retiring the end of April. And so when you see Dina, thank her very much for the 25 years of service that she's given to Tarrant County. Next is Rachel Martinez, Public Health. Where's Rachel? There she is, back there in the back. She started with Public Health over at the university location, and that's when the city and county were both together. She was on the county side, and she basically took care of the food handler card program. She's continued to work in that area as now a general office clerk in that same division. When I asked her about the memorable moment, she said it was that move away from that university location. She said, when I was in that university location, we were so packed in that if I wanted to get up, I had to tell the person behind me that I need to get up, and she had to move in where I moved out. She said, I have absolutely loved the people that I've had a chance to work with. Mentioned that she had really enjoyed working with David Jefferson. She said, I just love my job, and the county has been very, very good to her. Rachel, thank you very, very much for your service to Tarrant County. Next is Larry Reynolds with the Medical Examiner's Office. Is Larry here? Larry wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it. He's been with the county for 25 years. So again, when you see Larry, please thank him for his time with Tarrant County. Next is Andrea Rumbo, Tax Office. There she is. Started out in motor vehicle as a title clerk in, I guess, the Southwest office. Moved to Northwest after about 6 years and spent about 5 years there, and then came downtown for quality control, was promoted to supervisor, and moved to Northwest and then over to South Lake, and then came back downtown. And then 10 years ago moved into as a supervisor in the revenue processing area. She says memorable moments are dealing with the public where you have all kinds of encounters, and she related just a couple of them with me, a couple of them where they'd get mad because they couldn't get 2 plates or whatever the situation might be. But, you know, every once in a while people can get a little testy. What she liked most was the great family atmosphere and looking out and helping each other was the way she put it. She said, my father passed away recently, and she said, I can't tell you how great all of the folks were in helping through that and how much she and her mother appreciated that. She said, the county's been a great opportunity, a great learning experience. She said, as she has traveled around, she says, you know, each location has their own personality, their own clientele. And she says it's very interesting to work in the different offices and to see the folks as they come through there. She said, I've always strived to help employees to do, you know, what they want to do and not to necessarily push them to do something that they might not want to do. Andrea, we appreciate very, very much the 25 years of service you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you. Next is William Turner with the Sheriff's Office. I've been trying to get a hold of William, so I guess he wasn't able to make it today. He has, and it's good because if he'd have been here, he and I were going to get to have a conversation right here in front of God and everybody. He's been with the county for 25 years. So the next time you see Officer Turner, please tell him how much we appreciate his service to the county. Next is Gracie Valdez. Is Gracie here? There she is. She started off as a registration clerk, was promoted to title clerk, worked downtown she's been there for 35 years, I didn't say that. Been downtown, worked downtown for 22 years, then went to Southwest. She's now a title specialist, and she's back downtown. She said, I just love working with the employees, love working with the public. About 5 years ago when she talked, she says, I am so glad that I am here at the county, hope to be here a few more years, well, she's obviously made it for 5. She said, I never thought I'd be here as long as I've been here. Time has just flown by. She said, I've had the opportunity to work with 5 tax assessor collectors, Reed Stewart, June Garrison, Betsy Price, Ron Wright, and now Wendy Burgess. And she said the experience, it's just really been great. Getting ready to retire. Looking forward to traveling and enjoying her family. She said, but I just have to tell you, I have cherished my time in the office as the years have gone by, and she said, I have really cherished the time that I have had a chance to work with all my coworkers. Gracie, we can't tell you how much we appreciate the 35 years you've given to Tenure Employees. Thank you. Charlotte Hogan Price. Probate court number 2 for 40 years. Wow. Now she started off in the CETA program in purchasing, and after 11 months with the program, she gave birth to her 3rd child and came back a week later. Whoa. She was in purchasing for a while, and then at one point she went to Judge Furchel's court, and I guess at that point in time she was the first black hired into the probate court, and she was hired because she was the only person who applied that had a degree. She's a probate auditor now. I'm going to read. She's retiring the end of this month. We're losing a lot this month. We got a number of folks who retired, but I'm going to read what.
There's still time to change.
Being old don't mean I understand. I'm getting closer. Not to being old. I'm already got there. When I started in Tarrant County in 1979, I had entered the courthouse through the Civil Courts building. There were human fixtures in that building that are still etched in my memory bank, such as the lady who sold snacks, Kay, who sold newspapers, Mr. Cornelius Mills, the shoeshine man, and Mrs. Personality, Willie Mae Barnes, the maid that kept the building clean. She also introduced me to Judge Pat Furchel when I needed research for a government project that I was doing while I was in college. My first county job was in the purchasing department, and I went to school at night until I graduated. When I explained my dilemma to Judge Furchel and told him I needed an argument for combining civil and criminal courts, he led me straight to the Chief Justice of the Appeals Court, Frank Massey, who was up for re-election. He had a wealth of information, and needless to say, I made an A in my government class. I still have his re-elect book of matches as a souvenir. The next year, Judge Furchel was appointed to the new probate court number 2, and the rest is history. I was hired as his secretary. Even though I was the first, I found out later that I was the only applicant that had a degree. The next year, I was promoted to probate auditor, and very proud of that 40 years I have given to Tarrant County. I'm probably the longest working employee in either probate courts. What I will miss most is helping those who have lost a loved one and simply need direction on how to probate a will or to get money out of a bank to pay for a funeral. I always pictured myself on the other end of the phone and have always treated people like I wanted to be treated. If I could stop the clock, I would work forever because I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love the historic courthouse. But now I've got to learn how to be old and deal with Medicare and Medicaid, so I will try to make the best of it. In 1994, I came to work one hot July morning and noticed that the lawn had not been mowed. By the end of the week, I couldn't take it anymore. I contacted Jim McCree, who was the director of facilities, and questioned why the grass was not being cut. He said he was looking for someone because the last company did not work out. I told him I had a legitimate lawn service and would be happy to take care of the lawns until they found someone. I presented a proposal that couldn't be refused. The county paid my company $1,200 a month, and I still have my proposal and check stubs. I worked in my county court 5 days a week and mowed 9 county buildings on Saturday and Sunday until the new company was hired. Wow. I trimmed the Tarrant in front of the administration building myself and set the height you now see around all the buildings. I never missed work unless I was deathly ill because I love my job. I have been blessed. Now I have so much sick and vacation time, I can't use it all. I keep asking, is there any way the Commissioner's Court could allow someone who has all this time and retiring to allow more than 5 days to those employees who run out of time due to illness and medical needs? Tomorrow is not a promise to any of us, but a few extra days to recover could be a benefit to all. We're going to miss you, Charlotte, and we're going to miss all of the good times you brought us and the way you have dedicated your life to this county. Thank you very, very much. Now, you youngsters, that's what you aspire to. And those of y'all halfway through, you've still got a ways to go. But when I read what she sent me, I just said, I can't say it any better. And I truly believe that the attitude you hear in these words is the attitude that many, many of you around this county demonstrate on a day-to-day basis. And we can only wish that everybody, everywhere, did the same and think of how much better a place this world would be. Charlotte, again, thank you for making this little bit of our world a better place to be.
Charlotte, congratulations. Charlotte and I grew up together. We went to the same high school. And I don't remember when I didn't know Charlotte.
We know each other for years. Grew up together. And thank you, Commissioner Johnson, for your congratulatory letter.
Commissioner, he's I'm sorry. She said thank you for your congratulatory letter.
You're welcome.
755 years of service. There's refreshments back there. I haven't seen Waldo this morning, so
yeah,
either he's not here, or he's eating everything that's back there by now. So thank you all very much. 504C. Great.
Good morning.
Rehab.
Trying to check to see how you're doing.
I got a message.
I understand.
Seniors, yeah. Move that we receive and file the employee recognition.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion to second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Tidwell? I'm going to move you over. I still can't see if you're down there or not. You're hiding.
That's where I was moved to, so I hide now. All right, we have two items we're asking the court to consider this morning, and the first is to receive and file the auditor's report related to the exit review for Justice of the Peace Precinct 4.
I move to receive and file.
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our JP is very appreciative of the exit interview that you did.
Thank you. We've enjoyed working with him.
Thank you.
And our other item is asking the court to receive and file the auditor's report for the review of the special inventory tax controls for the tax office. And I would just point out that I enjoy working and looking forward to working with the new tax assessor, but this is the first time this audit's ever been done, and so I was just going to give Mr. Wright recognition for allowing the auditor to look at this. All previous tax assessors refused to allow the auditor to review this area. This is your vehicle inventory tax for your car dealerships. And we had a very good relationship, and we finished the audit, and we're looking forward to working with Ms. Burgess and her staff to correct and improve this process. But this audit's never been done.
Thank you very much.
Move approval to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Discussion? Commissioner?
No discussion on this item. I just want to ask a question when we get finished with this item.
Motion passes unanimously.
Renee, the audit that you did in Precinct 4.
Yes, sir.
There seems to be a lot of similarities with issues there that we've had at some other JPs where there were some
Yes.
issues. Do you have any plans to do any kind of a regular audit on every year, every 2 years? How often do you go through and actually audit a JP office?
Well, a couple of things I can tell you on that is a number of the JPs have liquidated their separate bank account and are now using consolidated cash, which is a change. They're not all there yet, but several of them have made that change, and others may be going to. There's still lots of risk and lots of opportunity for things to go haywire, but that does remove one piece of the bank reconciliation piece, that sort of piece. We do audits based on a risk analysis and the actual number of resources that we have, and so I don't have an exact answer for how often we will audit. There are some things, though, that are in these reports that would be beneficial in helping all of the JPs have greater stewardship over their assets. Obviously, the Odyssey has some area for improvement and some additional support. I would tell you that one of the things I've learned about the JPs is their operations are pretty diverse and they're pretty complex because they handle a lot of different things. They have small staff comparatively, and they're really not highly classified positions. Your chief clerk, I believe, is a grade 72. So I'm not trying to be an advocate for anyone to have more staff or higher pay. I am recognizing, though, the seriousness of what they do in those courts and the complexity and the need for some assistance, maybe with additional IT resources associated with Odyssey, and then depending on any other particular things that they're all looking for. But they all do have similar issues for the most part, and there's just a lot of things that could be done to improve those operations. Yes, sir.
I think maybe we, as a county, there's probably more we can do to help them better be in conformity with normal accounting practices, and maybe there's a standardized way to do things that you've got one JP doing it one way, another JP doing it another way.
Well, this is the first
maybe
time.
It's time to look at changing some things.
And this is the first time, to be honest with you, that we've had a concerted interest by a number of the JPs, and we've worked very closely with those that are working to move in that direction, again, of using consolidated cash and changing up some of their processes and procedures, and we will continue to do so. I understand what you're saying and agree. For many years, they almost all had separate accounts, and they all were independent and autonomous in the way they ran their offices for the most part, and I see a change in a willingness to have more of that standardization and work closely with my office, and we will certainly do so.
I agree. I think if we can do that, I also understand, especially because of the size of those offices, the difficulty sometimes in putting in place controls that you would normally see in place in a larger organization. But I agree with Commissioner Fickus. If you could work with them, especially as they're being much more cooperative in trying to do that, I think that would be very, very helpful.
We look forward to doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Worthy.
Move to receive and file the personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Good morning. Our final item, our second item, is approval to double fill a position and a waiver of terminal benefits for County Court at Law number 3. We have an individual that is leaving with 400 hours of terminal benefits. The total cost to the general fund will be $16,372.73.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I would, and I talked a little bit with Craig about this already. I know that we've got, and in fact, I think the individual who is retiring has a lot of sick time and a lot of vacation hours that are going to be burnt, that are basically just, going to go away. So I appreciate it. And then I think there was the fact that you were looking for what, about a week where there was going to be a double. Come on up, Craig, and that way you can.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Yes, this lady is retiring after 32 years, the County Court at Law Number 3. A young gentleman's coming in from the county clerk to learn from this lady for the last 2 weeks of the month, this month, all that goes into helping the judge run this court, docketing, scheduling, different applications on SAP, and just how the judge would like his court run. I think it does say a lot about this young lady who will spend her last 2 weeks here after 32 years, training this young man to become the court coordinator for County Court at Law Number 3.
Thank you.
Judge, I think Ms. Hogan Price's suggestion was a good one. We've got people who are sick and need coverage. We've got people who are retiring with hours that they can't be paid for, and they just go away. There ought to be some kind of way to capture those hours and put them into the shared sick leave pool rather than just have them evaporate.
Well, that's something that we'll, Ms. Worthy, if you would, let's look at that. Let's kind of come back to where we are on that deal. Now, the thing with the sick time is if we pay for the sick time, we pay for a percentage of the sick time. It's the vacation time that if you've got more than 400, we don't pay for anything over 400.
Well, the vacation time is you can be paid for twice of what you're earning. So if you're a 2-week person, you would be able to. That's right.
I'm sorry. I always think of 400.
But typically, it's the folks that are the more long-term employees that we see the waivers for.
And then the sick is based upon a percentage of how long you've been here at that point in time. So I think, but let's look at that. We had a meeting yesterday and beginning the process, and so of looking at some of those benefits. And so I think that would be something to take into consideration too. Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions, discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Beecham. Good morning.
Good morning. Saturday, the Lady Razorbacks were crowned the 2019 NCAA Women's Indoor Track and Field National Champions.
Congratulations. You probably just barely beat LSU?
Sir?
Did you just barely beat LSU?
No. I think we thumped them all.
Good.
This ran away from them, didn't it?
Sorry?
This ran away from them.
Took him a while to get that, but that's the Arkansas.
That's the best you got today.
Better than yours, Jack.
We have 9 items for consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for RFP 2018-160 for an audit management system. Recommendation be to award per the terms of the contract awarding to the Morgan Kai Group Incorporated. If the court approves this, we're seeking contract approval also.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2 also is a bid award recommendation for bid 2019-085, signing a contract for toner cartridges, maintenance supplies for inkjet and laser printers. Recommendation be to award a per enterprise basis, awarding to primary, secondary, and alternate vendors meeting all specifications as shown in the court communique.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Number 3, also a bid award recommendation for bid 2019-090, it's an annual contract for automotive and light truck body repair. Recommendation be to award on a discount from list price, selecting as our primary vendor Reed's Collision, secondary vendor Buck's Wheel and Equipment Company.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 4 is another bid award recommendation for bid 2019-094. This is a new annual contract for asphalt crack sealer. Our recommendation be to award on a per enterprise basis and a discount from list price, awarding to the primary, secondary, and alternate vendors as shown in court communique.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 5, another bid award recommendation for bid 2019-095. This is our annual contract for self-propelled asphalt pavers. Recommendation be to award a per enterprise basis, awarding items 1A, 1B, 2A, and 2B to the firms shown in your court communique, meeting all specifications.
Move approval.
I'll second if he can say by 2
Bituminous?
There you go.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item 6, an item in regards to RFO 2016-073. This is for an Adobe Enterprise Team License Agreement. Information Technology is asking for a 60-day extension to facilitate the final counts of the Adobe Enterprise licensing for our tech refresh program.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 7, item in regards to RFP 2016-221, which is our annual contract for prisoner extradition services. This was initially approved in Commissioner's Court on the 28th of August 2018 through Court Order 128406 to U.S. Corrections. On the 22nd of January 2019, we received a notification or a letter from them requesting a price increase based on estimated mileage. We contacted then, which is normal procedure, the secondary vendor. We're notified that they went out of business on February 12th, 2 days after we had contacted them. We've since talked to U.S. Corrections again. There aren't many people that do this, unfortunately. Insurance requirements have gone up extensively. We are suggesting that we terminate the contract and are seeking permission to rebid with revised specifications.
What are we going to do in the meantime?
We're going to use the same firm until
pay the mileage.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Same price as under the previous contract award.
Will that firm be eligible to rebid?
I think we don't want to fire them because they're about the only ones left standing.
Should we be a little concerned that all of our screens just went dark? Keep talking.
We spend about $250,000 for prisoner transportation, so I would suggest in this situation, we've done some background checking and some research, and I think it's a viable request. Apparently, the requirements from the federal government have increased to increase their insurance requirements, and they're kind of between a rock and a hard place.
So this just gets us through the process of letting them rebid and get a higher price
Absolutely.
for the services they're providing.
Any other discussion?
Them or someone else.
Or someone else.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Wait a minute, she's shaking her head. Did we not have a motion and a second?
No.
So move.
Second.
Now, we have a motion and a second. And now, the motion passes unanimously.
Item number 8 is an item in regards to RFP 2019-077. This was an RFP for behavioral risk factor surveillance survey for the Public Health Department. We received one proposal. It came far in under budget, and the Public Health Department is suggesting that we reject this proposal and we be allowed to reissue with revised specifications to increase the scope of the project. And Vinny's here if you have questions about the description I just gave.
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the court. We're just trying to maximize the dollars we have budgeted for our survey here, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We just wanted to see you walk up to front.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And our last item is an item in regards to RFP 2019-100. This was an RFP for full-body rapid digital radiology systems for forensic pathology for the medical examiner's office. We are suggesting that we cancel the RFP that we received. We did not open it and be allowed to reissue with revised specifications. The medical examiner's office did not check with the IT department, which is standard procedure in the county to be sure that they could support this particular piece of equipment. So we just wasted some time. We'd like to put it out on the street again.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Have it but
Thanks,
2 minutes, Dave.
Transportation Services. Mr. Skinner.
Morning, Judge, Commissioner.
Morning.
We have 2 items for your consideration today. The first item is we're requesting approval of an interlocal agreement with the City of Richland Hills related to improvements to Midway Road.
I move approval.
Second. I need it up right now. If not, just cancel.
We have a motion and a second. This isn't being done by you. Because why is it not under?
We provided.
Well, this is discretionary.
Funding.
Yes.
Discretionary dollars.
My apologies. I
Got washed out.
meant to mention that. It is with Precinct 3 discretionary.
It's already
funds.
fixed, hasn't it?
I think most of the construction's been done.
Okay. Do we have a motion and a second?
I made a motion.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our next item will also be funded with Precinct 3 discretionary bond funds. We're requesting approval of an interlocal agreement with the cities of Euless, Bedford, and Colleyville. This is for the installation of a signal at Heritage and Cheeksburger.
I'll move approval. This is kind of a unique project because we not only have 3 cities working together, which these 3 cities working together is extremely unusual, but also we have a developer who's made an equal contribution along with Tarrant County. So we have 5 entities involved putting up $50,000, I believe, or 50-something thousand.
I'm going to second that rambling motion.
Thank you.
You're
Did y'all get all that? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fickus, you have
Yes, I have another interlocal agreement with the city of Bedford, and it's for 2 projects. One is Eldon-Dotson Road, and the other one is Orwood. Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Johnson?
I have 2 interlocal agreements, one with the city of Azle and one with Azle Independent School District. Item 8, 2, A, B, C, and D. I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And
They have been approved by the DA's office.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any appointments today?
We got a letter.
Yes.
I hope that everybody got it, but the Tarrant County Cultural Education Facilities Finance Corporation and the Tarrant County Health Facilities Finance Development Corporation, they are down to 4 members, well, 5, but another one has tendered their resignation, and we're not ready to do something there, but all 4 of the remaining have to be there for a quorum. So they have recommended 2 replacements to that board. And all of you should have received from Lisa McMillan, dated Friday, March 8th. But one of the appointments they recommend is Rachel V. Blackwell, and this is to both of those boards. And the other one is Stephen R. Purvis, and I would move to appoint those two to these two facilities, corporations.
I'll second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Are there any other appointments? None appearing. Then we have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have 3 items to bring to you yet this morning. The first one deals with
I hope you only have 2.
Only 2 listed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have 2 items to bring to you this morning.
I just think he may have a hard time if you bring up a third one.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 2 items to bring to you this morning, and we're going to take them out of order. We could take item B first.
Only if you get the screens up.
They're up. They will be up in just a second. Public health updates. As Mr. Tenasia comes forward, I'd like to say this is probably going to be our last briefing as it relates to the influenza. Our numbers are going down, and if they spike or things like that, we'll put them on the agenda, but this will not be a normal briefing after today.
Thank you, members of the court. We'll do a quick update on influenza. Officially, the season for influenza lasts till about April 1st, and technically, influenza activity is there all year round. It's a year-round disease, but we do see the heavier months, usually from October till about April. But Tarrant County is catching a break, quite honestly. Our numbers are down, but that's not the picture nationally and in the rest of the state, as you'll see. If you look at the map, now, of course, data lags a little bit. This is as of March 2nd. The activity was shown as high in Texas and in almost more than half the country. So we still have flu activity, but I'm pretty certain the numbers are coming down as the season wanes down. And if you look at 2 weeks before that, when we did the briefing in mid-February, the picture was pretty much the same. It does move around a little bit, but it was high activity across the country, including our state of Texas. Locally, the picture is starting to get better. 2 weeks ago, which was mid-February data that I had showed you, it was widespread in Tarrant County. Now, there are certain zip codes that have still high activity, but most of them are coming back down to more, I guess, routine levels. National graph, if you look at the line with the triangles, that's the current season. So it did get pretty high. So we got a second peak in February like we normally see. But it's not as bad as we saw last season. So that's a saving grace. But it was a pretty heavy year still. And it's starting to trend back down. And usually we don't see a third peak. Usually it's just the 2 peaks that we see. This is our Tarrant County picture, similar graph for influenza-like illness. The green line is the current season. As you can see, we had a milder second peak in February. We had heavy activity at the end of December, and we've had lower activity ever since. We're approaching our baseline. We're not there yet, but we're in the next couple of weeks, I really hope we're out of this flu season. Statewide comparison, just to get cleaner comparison. Blue line is the state of Texas. They're starting to see a little bit of a downtrend, but they're obviously higher activity. Tarrant County is fast approaching the baseline again, and we're getting out of the woods here quick. Laboratory confirmed hospitalizations related to the influenza. As you can see, the green line, it denotes our senior age group over 65 years of age, and they're usually the worst hit. We did see a major peak again in February. It's starting to trend back down, so hopefully picture improves nationally. But I just keep reminding people that people tend to think, oh well, I'm over Thanksgiving and Christmas, so don't need to take the flu shot. Well, that's still a good time to take flu shot because the peak usually occurs in February, March timeframe, and we've seen that. So if people are watching and looking at the data and learning from it, this is clear evidence that you still need to participate in getting your flu shot. And if you get sick, now it's late in the season, if you get sick, call your doctor immediately and try to get on antivirals for the flu, because it can be deadly. This is our pneumonia and influenza mortality graph. One of the biggest complications that causes death for influenza is pneumonia. So that's how this is tracked. And it captures a lot more than just influenza, but it's very indicative. And right now the data is showing it's lagging behind. Mortality data is, several months behind, but it's showing that we are above epidemic threshold. But as current data comes in, I expect it to, lower back down again. This is pediatric deaths. So in state of Texas, the only deaths that are reportable from influenza are pediatric deaths. So we have, a good number of those that, come in this season. Luckily, we did not see anything happen in Tarrant County. So total number reported are 64 for us here in the state. CDC started, like I said in earlier presentations, they started putting this graphic out, which is very helpful. They used to do it only at the end of the season, but now they're doing mid-season estimates. So right now we have estimated between 22 and 26 million flu illness cases that were reported. About 289,000 to 347,000 hospitalizations related to the flu. And right now the estimate is about 18,900 to 31,200 flu deaths. So if we remain on this trend, it would probably end up as an average year in terms of flu deaths. On average, there's about anywhere between 30,000 to 50,000 flu deaths a year. Last season was very heavy. We had exceeding 90,000 number in flu deaths. And I just wanted to make a quick comparison. People fall into a lull that this is normal. Shouldn't be. Opioid epidemic has killed, maybe 40,000, 50,000 a year in the recent years, and we've declared it as a national emergency. This is a national emergency if people would listen, because this happens every year without fail. So it's a very serious disease. People need to, take their flu shot. It's available, and they need to take antivirals as soon as they think that they have the flu. They need to go get it checked out. And that covers what we should do when we have the flu, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
On average,
yes, sir.
Tarrant County seems to have fared better this flu season than both the state and the national numbers. Can you correlate that to anything that we did right locally, or did we just get lucky?
The honest answer is we'd like to think that we had an impact, but it's very hard to correlate that. It could be that we're just getting lucky, or it could be that all our efforts for all these years in reminding people to take their flu shot, getting to the doctor and do, antivirals early is paying off. Because I have anecdotal data where people have stopped me in the hallway. Well, thanks for doing your presentation. I went to my doctor and got the Tamiflu. So, people do listen, but there's no hard evidence. We're science-based people, so we'd like to make the claim, but we can't substantiate it. So
I'll claim it for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There was an article in the Dallas Morning News this morning that talked about, I guess, 2 recent fatalities in Dallas County, and they were older folks, I think in their 80s, but they combined their flu and pneumonia deaths. Do we do that? Or does that fall under the flu-like illnesses? Or will you explain that?
So Dallas County does extended flu surveillance. They started doing that several years ago. They had a good partnership with their hospital system where they even get reports of adult flu deaths or related deaths. It's not required by state law, so we just don't have the resources to do all of that, and we haven't done it. What is required is pediatric flu deaths, and we do track those. So we do get anecdotal death reports from just good partnerships with the hospital sometimes, but we don't look at it as an accurate count because they're not required. We can't rely on that. So we do hear that a lot about Dallas and their flu surveillance system, but they've had it for years, and it's just something voluntary that they do.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vinny.
Finally, members of the court, on item A under briefing, legislative issues, Mr. Schaffner has provided you a memorandum in your packet this morning detailing the various bills. I'd like to point out just a couple of them. HB 705, this is from Representative Guerin. It's the sales and use tax in lieu of property taxes. That substitute bill has been voted out of House Ways and Means last week, so it's headed to the floor eventually. The other ones that Senate Bill 2 is still pending. While it was voted out of committee, it does not have enough votes to reach the Senate floor. HB 2, which is a companion bill in the House, has been a bill that has been heard in committee, and it's been left pending in House Ways and Means. And then finally, just to point out in your memorandum, there's issues that we're watching. We're watching all various bills that attempt to reduce transparency and public oversight for the use of public funds, and we're going to be watching that very closely. So we may be bringing different bills to you to oppose, because this court has always been supportive of transparency and public oversight of the expenditure of county monies.
So while we've not taken a direct resolution regarding that, unless I hear otherwise, I'm going to assume that we would want Russell opposing any bill that reduced transparency or that basically allowed any one individual to be able to spend money without having to comply with purchasing law or without having to have approval of the Commissioner's Court as it sits right now from that standpoint. And we may have a resolution regarding specific bills or specific topics later on, but I just wanted to.
Well, I concur completely.
Thanks, Joey.
Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
Okay. With that, then, we will recess our open meeting, proceed to close to discuss items exempt under sections 551, 1071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code.
Commissioner Brooks, we're live.
Having no further business to come before this court, we are adjourned.
And today.